Hi, Hanukkah's coming up, and I thought I'd show you a foolproof method for making potato pancakes and the most delicious applesauce in the world, and it takes 15 minutes to make, and it has no sugar in it. So here we go. First of all, I'm going to take the apples. You can choose whatever apples you like. I like Gala apples or Macintosh apples. Use your core, and then just cut it up into eighths. In a pot, I've put about a ½ inch of water, and it doesn't matter what size pot you have, because if you're making applesauce for an army, you'll use a bigger pot and you'll still have a ½ inch of water, it just might be more. Take your apple slices. First, take a cinnamon stick, put it in the water. Cinnamon stick will flavor it. It will also give that sense of sweetness to your tongue. And then take your apples, the rest of this is about 6 apples, put it in the pot, put it on the stove, turn the stove on, cover it, and don't worry about it. Okay, now, check on it in 15 minutes. Don't have the flame too high because you don't want to burn the apples, but you don't want it too low that it'll take forever, but they'll basically steam themselves. Now let's try and go over and make our potato latkes. One of the first tricks for making my potato pancakes is I don't buy russet potatoes because I don't want to have to peel potatoes. So I get the California long white, or sometimes they're called golden. If they're more golden, they're called Yukon. And I cut them lengthwise. This is a very big one. I would almost count this as a potato and a half. And I cut it lengthwise. Usually that's enough to be able to fit into the feed tube of your processor. Yes, I'm processing it. I'm not doing it by hand. So, and you can do it by hand though, and use a coarse cutting on your blade. See, I'm using, actually this is the slightly smaller one, but it will serve the purpose. Here we go. Now I'm just going to take the potatoes, and I'm going to, but this is 6 potatoes. This makes a lot. You could make half the recipe if you like. Don't overstuff your feed tube, otherwise it won't work. There you go. Do a few more like this. And then let's see what we do with all the leftover potatoes. Okay, so now I have grated all of my potato. Let's put this here because I'm going to need it again. Taking the grating disc off. And you can see I have my potato now. Notice how it's still white here, but it's starting to discolor. Do not worry. By the way, when you're holding your processor work bowl, put your thumb on the inside opening and it will steady your bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the potato into a colander. And there's no, you don't need to rinse this out because we're going to use this again. And then I'm going to rinse it with water. I am rinsing off the potato starch. See how even if it was looking like it was discoloring, it's turned color, it's turned white again. So I'm going to rinse it well. If you find a really big piece of potato, just discard it, or you can put it back in when you need it. Okay. Now I'm going to drain it. And I want you to see what happens. It's white, it's draining out. I'm squeezing it a little to get some of the excess moisture out. Put that there. Squeeze it out. And then I will eventually pat it dry. But I want you to see something. In the bottom of my bowl where I was draining it. Let me get some of the water out. I don't know whether you can see. Do you see all that white? That white is potato starch. That is actually the culprit for what is making your latkes gray-black. We don't want gray-black latkes. We want golden brown, delicious latkes. So, let me rinse my hands off. Let's take a cloth towel and or you can use paper towels, and just squeeze out some of the excess water. That's all you need to do. Not hard. I don't need it to be bone dry. Now we're going to take the metal blade for our processor, and we're going to put that in the bowl. Now we're going to put our onions, and we're going to chop them up a little. One of the biggest mistakes people make is that they use their onions, they think to keep the vitamin C in the onion to keep the potato white. The problem is then when you have a lot of liquid in the bottom of your bowl and you drain it, you're losing some of your onion juice. You never want to lose onion juice, not being a good Jewish cook. Look at this, some of the potato starch even went on the counter. Not a problem. So I'm pulsing it a little, and then I am going to add some of my potato. And this is where if you see a big chunk that you haven't put on your counter, there you go, you can take some and put it in. I put about, oh, I don't know, maybe a third, a quarter of the potato in. Turn it on. This gives me more of a base to my latke. Okay, and that is it. Now, to my bowl. You can always tell a home cook from a professional cook. We make more of a mess, but that's okay. Food still tastes good. Here's our potato. Here's our onion potato mixture. Again, a safe way is put your hand inside the center and press to the side. It holds the blade in place and it won't fall out and cut yourself. Then when you're down to the bottom, because no good self-respecting cook wastes onion, you can get the rest of the onion off. Now I do not use baking powder or baking soda in my latkes. You can if you want to. You can really use your own favorite recipe. But what I want you to see here is the technique of working with the potato first, the way I did, because if you do that, you will not have thin, greasy, black pancakes. So I'm going to add 3 eggs that I've beaten well with a fork. A tablespoon of salt. Very important. I know you're thinking, Tina, a tablespoon of salt. Salt, potatoes absorb salt. And if you don't add enough, it'll be very bland, even with all those good tastes in. So I mix this around first so that the egg mixture can get dispersed throughout the potato. Then I add some pepper, as much or as little as you like. If your ancestors came from Lithuania and Russia, you're probably adding more pepper than if they came from Poland and the South. And then I'm mixing it all together. And if you really want to, you can just use your hands too. Just so you don't want to, now I use matzo meal instead of flour because the same idea of trying to get this potato starch out of the potatoes is the same reason why I don't really want to add wheat starch to it. That could discolor, and I don't want the pancakes. Okay, it's a big piece. It gets lost. And that's it. That's my latke mixture. Okay, let's go over to the stove and make some latkes.